Very synchronistic, everything we're talking about tonight. Was it a cosmic accident, part of a well-crafted script, the whole situation with the shooting in Buffalo? Is this something that is going on to conduct an occult psychological operations exercise? Ryan Gable with us tonight. It just seems to be more evident. Well, there's a lot of evidence, I think, to suggest that the American people are being subjected to one of the most satanic and occult psyops ever conducted on a large scale. And I mean, they utilize everything from movies to TV to video, you name it. It's out there because it's meant to create mass formation psychosis. It's important that we do not understand the potency and the deceptive malice, but if we point it out, people will start being aware of it, and they'll know when they're being manipulated.
That's right, and we're able to then look at that information and we're able to reflect on it, which is the whole esoteric point and symbolism of the moon. The light side is the reflector. It allows us to reflect on our actions, our thoughts, our feelings, our past experiences. And the dark side of the moon, where Lilith resides and where she gives birth to all these demons and various creepy crawlies like spiders and snakes, the dark side is our unconscious. So back again to Jung and back again to archetypes and Joseph Campbell. And I thought it was really interesting. On top of all this, the 3s, the 13s, the 3 shootings over 3 days, 13 days after Walpurgis, all this stuff you've talked about here on Ground Zero, all the stuff I've talked about on the Secret Teachings. I found it really interesting. Did you story about Madonna and the NFTs?
You're talking about that tree that grows out of her body? You're talking about? Yeah, I saw that video. It was disturbing.
It's disturbing because they call one of those NFTs the Mother of Nature, and the Mother of Nature is, it's Isis, it's Lilith, the 2 women that actually have the name of God on the tip of their tongue in the mythology. But it's also interesting because Lilith in the ancient world was depicted as a tree and giving birth to trees, and Madonna gives birth to the centipede, this robotic centipede in the NFT a day after the blood moon. And the centipede comes from the dark side of the moon. It's one of the creepy, crawly, demon-like creatures that's born of the goddess Lilith. I just don't find that that cannot be anything but important and highly significant and non-coincidental.
Well, here's something else, too, that I didn't talk about that we should have talked about back when we were talking about Walpurgis and the burning times. I don't know if you were aware of this, but did you know that Russia, they conducted a psychological operation of their own? They actually burned a Tower of Babel. They took a replica. They built a replica of the Tower of Babel, and they burned it to the ground. Now I don't know why they did that, but they did it as a ritual. It was actually made by an architect. It was built to the scale of the tower that you read about in the Bible, and it was about 20 meters by 120 cubic meters, and they were using pallets to make it. And they took all the wood from places around the area, all the overgrown trees, and they built this Tower of Babel. And then in a ritualistic fashion, they burned it to the ground. They burned it.
Fits in with the...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they burned it to the ground. And of course, that all comes together with the idea of prophecy and the burning of the tower that reaches into heaven. And it's done around the time of Walpurgis. It was crazy.
Maybe it was symbolic of, maybe they said that it represented the arrogance of Zelensky or Ukraine, and because that's what the tower represented, the arrogance of man, and then God struck it down. That's also in the tarot card. Mm-hmm. But that's like the Moskva ship that was sank with a Neptune missile, and then Neptune, Poseidon, the trident on the Ukrainian flag. And then you have the supposed piece of the actual cross Christ was crucified on, supposedly on board that ship. Talk about a holy war. Talk about an occult war. Every angle from Ukraine to COVID-19, even with those little red triangles and the CGI image of the little tiny particle, to now with the blood moon and all these different shootings over the weekend. It is an occult ritual. Call it whatever you want, and it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means that there are forces that are underlying the physical world, and there are people that, whether they're in media intending to do this for whatever political reason, there's so many different levels to this, but it is black page propaganda, as you said, and it is a very, very sophisticated and obvious form of psychological warfare and programming.
The Russians had said, and this is I got this in front of me right now. The Russians said that they decided to create this art piece and set it ablaze because they had hoped that the destruction of this tower in the burning times would serve as a reminder to turn to peace with their neighbors. That it was a symbol to say, okay, we want to eliminate the obstacle that is before us. The Tower of Babel is a symbol of discord. Therefore, we are going to burn it down in ritual to send a message to you that we want peace.
Well, I guess that can kind of make sense, and it makes me think of all the other esoteric and occult things that have been happening in Ukraine and Russia, and how, psychologically speaking, if you think about it, I know this might sound like a political statement, but in America we have people that don't believe that we should fly American flags, people that don't want a border, and people that generally don't like nationalism, and yet those same people have been psychologically conditioned to fly the flag of a foreign country over a border dispute and support that Ukrainian nationality. The level of cognitive dissonance, and again, it's the psychological warfare and the psychological programming, and I think all of these esoteric, all of these occult, archetypical, mythological things, sigils, symbols, etc., I mean, this is a mind game on a global scale. It is very much like the archetype of the Riddler, as we mentioned earlier in Batman.
Right. Tell the story, leave the clue, have you figure out the clue, and then in the end, it's too late. Once you figure out the clues, once you figure out that you're being had by this propaganda, it's too late. You're already doing the things that they want you to do. You're already going towards the approximation. And it's all done with these, like you say, these archetypes, these egregores, these deep within us, we resonate with certain things. Like you're saying, the Scarlet Whore of Babylon, the Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange, the eliminating the power of children, Amashtu, Lilith, all these characters that take the baby from the womb, the injections that sterilized women and killed their babies. All of these things happening in the news that the media is ignoring, and yet all of it, like I said, these are all part of dots in the continuum leading to eugenics type of purity type of tests, where we see just how pure and how devoted we are and how loyal we are, and whether or not we're willing to be subjugated or we're willing to be enslaved because somebody has sent the alarm and have manipulated people into believing that we need to have our speech curtailed, that we need to have our bodies infiltrated. I mean, it's just amazing to see all this transpire and to see all the clues, and it's hard to express them without people thinking it's quite a reach. But I don't think it is. I think that this is so true that we're seeing these types of things, like I say, underpinning the narrative that they're trying to tell us through this revelation of the method exactly what their next move is going to be.
It's the impure spirit of Lilith or La Brucia, as I said earlier. I'm going to be talking about this on the Secret Teachings at 11 p.m. tonight on the Fringe, too. Okay. La Brucia is the essence of causing infertility, killing babies, and leading people astray, and that is the essence we see in everything going on, from the abortion argument to menstruation, etc.
Were we just talking about Momo, that character, that Asian?
The Tomomo no Mai. Yeah,
Tomomo no Mai, which, of course, was in that movie I saw with Liam, and it's actually, there's another movie that's out that shows the Tomomo, the whole, I mean, it's just weird the way all of this is coming together the way it is. Ryan Gable with us tonight on Ground Zero, 503-225-0860. Coming up, another proof in the works with regard to psychological operations and how they recruit young minds to carry out these actions. Tonight on Ground Zero with Ryan Gable.